Hello everyone and welcome back to our series Launchpad. So I'm here for our final episode before we launch into discussing our specific career professions so you can gain insight into what you may want to do later on in your life. But today, I want to talk about how you are going to achieve your goals. So, you've assessed yourself internally, audited your external environment, and assimilated the two. So now it's time to figure out how you can be well equipped through your studies to choose the right career path for yourself. So basically, linking your study path to the labour market. So to do this, I want to give you an example of what we call a triple threat graduate. As the world changes faster and faster, as challenges are thrown at us more and more, we need to work harder and harder. When I think about education and the way in which we should think about how we should link our study path to the labour market, I always think about the 3 E's. The first E is education itself. The knowledge, the facts and figures we learn, combined with the professors and teachers that impart this knowledge to us. So this is pretty straightforward. You are all undergoing this process or have done so at some point in your life, or you'll do it again soon. So the second E, exposure, is another step up on this. So looking at this strictly from a university or school student perspective, exposure refers to the experiences you have on campus, the student life, your peers, the extent of support that your professors or teachers give you, all combined with the new country that you are in or the one you've grown up in, and of course, all the new cultural aspects combined with the learning that you're being exposed to. The third E, in my opinion, would be the most important, and this one is experience, because this is where the action happens. Education and exposure, in a sense, are quite passive, but for experience, you have to be an active learner and look out for those opportunities, which means that you will grow from this the most. For example, let's take a very simple one that most of you will be able to relate to. Imagine you want to be the CEO of a company one day. Now you've done the relevant bachelor's degree, you've done the MBA, you've had the best education and all the exposure from your learning experiences. But to step up to that next level, to be in a managerial position, in whatever field, you have to have the right experience. The third crucial E. Although this may seem obvious to a lot of you, experience is becoming more and more relevant in a world where students are becoming more and more educated. So keep these 3 E's in mind through your education journey. See how you build upon each one to ensure that you make the most of your school, university, internships, and work experience. Now, let's figure out how to achieve our goals. I want to speak about the changing labour market as the first factor here because that's going to affect our study path the most and will also affect how we achieve our goals. I want to start with some factors that affect the labour market so that you know what to look for and what to expect in terms of future trends. Firstly, the skills needed for jobs are constantly changing, and some skills are needed way more than others for the world to keep going around. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, many years ago, a hotel manager who was in charge of bookings used to have a large hard copy paper book or calendar, and they used to take bookings usually only by a phone call or in person with people checking into the hotel. Now, this required a certain set of people skills as well as the ability to effectively handle administration work without any mistakes on paper. Now, these days, all hotel bookings are electronic. 90% of people don't even speak to hotel staff before doing their own booking. So, a hotel manager in charge of bookings now would have to be tech savvy, monitor everything online, and ensure that the entire system is integrated. A very basic example, I know, but you get what I mean, right? Suddenly the skills for the same job have changed entirely, and that's why the labour market keeps changing too. The skills required are changing. The jobs are changing. Some jobs are actually becoming obsolete, so we have to change too. A clear example in Oman is that Vision 2040 aims to move away from oil and look to other forms of stimulating the economy. This itself is going to change the number of petroleum engineers required versus other professions. So something else that affects the labour market is the fact that the world is becoming more globalised and interconnected. This means that you don't have the same jobs as you used to, but it's also why international business degrees are becoming a lot more popular than just business degrees alone. Now, cross-cultural communication skills and learning languages is so important. Something that may not have been seen as necessary 200 years ago. Another factor is that people are becoming smarter and smarter. So even if you have a master's degree, you can't just expect to walk into any job anymore because so many people are in the exact same boat as you. Think about this a little bit. And one final factor that I would like to bring up, even though there are many more detailed economic factors that do exist, is that we are relying more and more upon technology. I mean, you're watching me right here today. Of course, technology in itself affects jobs, but the ripple effect from this is massive. So let's look at Google Maps, for example. Who remembers those huge books that we used to sift through to find someone's address and then manually map ourselves to get there? Or maybe it's a little bit before your time. But Google Maps has essentially changed the world with its mapping and GPS technology so that we can literally enter any address and it will even show us the Earth view of the place that you're going to. So this may seem extremely normal to us now, but think about the amount of work that went into it and the minds that made it happen. Now, we need minds to further enhance that technology, and those jobs are going to continuously keep changing because the technology is going to continuously keep changing too. Our need to rely more and more upon technology requires people to develop something better and better. Technology is a factor that's constantly changing the labour market and will continue to do so well into the future. Now that we've been through the factors that affect the changing labour market, I want to talk about how this is going to impact you through your study journey. When you think about your studies, you have to think about the jobs of the future. There are too many people these days educating themselves for jobs that don't exist in the same form or number after they've graduated. They either stay unemployed or are forced to reskill or do something that they are not interested in just to get by. How do you avoid this? Well, even universities, especially the ones in places like Australia, UK, USA, Canada and Ireland, are actually changing the way they teach and changing the courses they offer to adapt to the rapid labour market changes. They want to ensure that their graduates are well equipped for the workforce. And at StudyCo, we partner with the types of universities that really equip you with the right skills to propel yourself into the workforce in the right way. So we make sure you have the best chance of getting the right jobs at the right time. So I want you to think about the labour market as a really important factor when choosing your study path, because at the end of the day, you are choosing to study so that you end up with the right job for you and one that will take you places. Future trends are always changing. Video stores no longer exist. Netflix does. You don't need to handwrite your university essays anymore. You type them up. Think about all the changes that have already happened and all the changes that can possibly happen. That's how you're going to find the best way to achieve your goals. I've already spoken about 21st century skills in our first episode where we spoke about assessing ourselves internally. And now I want to highlight it again because of how important it is and because it fits into this episode on how to achieve your goals as well. So, academics are a strong basis and a great start. You need to have a great degree from a reputable institution to be in the running. But as you already know, academic achievements alone are not enough to have a really successful career. It's about all your soft skills. Remember the 10 I mentioned that are most in demand for today's labor market? Really quickly, they're organization, teamwork, punctuality, critical thinking and problem solving, social and cross-cultural skills, creativity, interpersonal communication, adaptability, motivation and perseverance, and finally confidence, the one that ties them all together. These are all so important to develop. So go back to our first episode where I give you 5 life hacks to develop these skills if you haven't watched it already. So we all need a holistic approach to be successful. This doesn't mean we have to be good at everything, but it does mean that we should have a combination of hard and soft skills. So something really important to note here is that the study path you choose will impact your soft skill development no matter what. It will automatically do this. So how? That's probably your next question. Let's take a quick look at the 3 basic ways your study path will impact your development of 21st century skills so you can ensure that you pick the right study path for you. So number 1 is the country, course, and university selected. So the country you choose is extremely important. Where you live for 2, 3, 4, or even more years is going to have a major impact on who you become as a person. Maybe you live in Australia and you have to learn to cook for yourself and become really independent. Maybe you live in Germany and have to learn the language to make friends and get around. It all depends on where you go. The country you choose will also be a deciding factor for your job opportunities and how you're placed for your future. The course you select will also impact your soft skills. Maybe the type of professors you have and the people you meet while studying psychology will be extremely different to those studying business. Maybe you will have more practical work when you study nursing as compared to studying international relations, for example. Each course will hone a different set of soft skills in a different way. Now, just so you know, there's no good or bad here, there's just different. Additionally, your university is important here too. There are some pretty average universities around these days where your soft skill development may be limited. But if you choose universities that have other activities that we recommend to you, then those are the ones you are going to develop and learn the most from. Your country, course, and university are intrinsically linked to each other. Pick wisely because it is going to determine who you become as a person. The second factor is environment and culture. Now, this is another really important factor and is linked to the country and university you pick as well. Imagine you have people around you from just one country, and those are the only people you communicate with, and that's it. Imagine if you have people in your classes that are from all parts of the world, so you get an understanding of their culture and how they think, how they live, what their characteristics are, and maybe even learn parts of their language. That's so important because when you are in the workplace later on in your life, you are going to work with so many people from different backgrounds and cultures. So it's important to have this experience in your learning environment too. The third factor is extracurricular experiences. So everything you do at university besides your actual studies will lead you to open yourself up and become a person with many different talents and many different things to talk about. I've already discussed how extracurricular activities impact your soft skill development in our first episode, so I'm going to take another perspective on this. When you go for an interview or are trying to network, these are the activities that you are going to be able to talk about. These are the activities that are going to add value to your great education. It's going to make you look like a really well-rounded person because, well, you will be. So I hope you've understood the importance of 21st century skills just a little bit more and how they will actually help you achieve your goals. So let's move on. What else will affect how successful you are and how you will achieve your goals? Well, your networking and adaptability are definitely important factors in this. Before we go into networks, we need to quickly touch on the importance of CVs, cover letters, internships, and interviews as a strong foundation to build a network. So these are all the factors that are going to form the basis of a great network and will help you start exploring different networks. You may also have heard the statement, "It's not about what you know, it's about who you know." Well, what you know is definitely important, but in today's fast-moving, increasingly interconnected, globalized world, you need to have a variety of different networks too. How do we build networks? Well, if you're studying at university, then your peers, classmates, and mentors can all become a part of your network. Professors as well, like-minded thinking and individuals. People you meet on the street. No, really, don't discount this one. Friends of friends, which could be one of the fastest ways to grow. And also don't forget events at your internship, the workplace, and beyond. Open yourself up and push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Never disregard a single connection. Use LinkedIn to its full capacity. Add anyone you may have just met and keep on building. Our networks will go through transitions. Some people may drop off, some may add on, and some may strengthen further and further. You will have a core network, probably a number you can count on your fingers, that will be your biggest support, biggest role models, and the best way to move forward. Just make sure you never take anyone for granted and you always look towards new networks and opportunities. So now, after networks comes adaptability. If nothing, then COVID-19 has forced us to adapt. We may have been used to traveling multiple times a year, but a lot of us, well, most of us, have not been able to do that because of various restrictions. Adaptability is so important. I'm not going to go into this too much, but I am going to say this. Let's take and understand each situation for what it is, and then adapt to where we are now, instead of wondering what could have been. Trust me, you will be so much happier that way. When we learn to adapt, as hard as that may be initially, we grow a lot. We can face adversity a little bit better, we can understand the world a lot more, and the people in it too. I'll tell you a little secret. Adaptability really is the key to success. That is, if you embrace it, take things in a positive way, and always keep working hard. COVID-19 has brought us a lot of challenges. Harnessing these and finding a way to adapt is the best way to succeed. I'm now going to run through what I think is my foolproof 5-step strategy on how to achieve your goals. It's going to seem pretty simple, but if you can execute this successfully, then you are definitely on the right path to success. Number 1, understand yourself. We are all very different people, and our first episode taught us how to assess ourselves internally so we can understand all the different parts of ourselves to make us more self-aware of who we are. We need to understand why we are unique and what makes us different, because then we can figure out what we have to give to the world. Number 2, examine your surroundings. There is so much out there. Our second episode was all about auditing the external environment so we can see the myriad of options we have to choose from. There are endless possibilities, and it's important to be educated about all of them so you know exactly what you are choosing and what you aren't. Number 3, see how you can fit in or turn it completely upside down. It's up to you. Our third episode was all about assimilating our internal and external environments so we can find the right opportunities for ourselves. You can either choose to seamlessly fit in and match up exactly what you want, or you can do the opposite. Tackle things head on and keep going regardless of what happens. Or you can mix the two a little bit. Just understand what is right for you, and I believe that if it feels right, you should go for it. Number 4, make the right connections. Like I said, networking is everything. You never know what a person could teach you, and you never know who that person could be. Number 5, and what I think is kind of probably the most important thing here, Never stop learning, no matter how old you are, no matter how old you become. Because if you ever think that you've learnt enough and that's kind of it, that's probably the biggest mistake you will ever make in your life. You can't possibly ever know everything, and all knowledge can be useful at some point in your life. You may not realize it till you actually have to use it. Trust me, I know. I said adaptability is the key to success. Well, learning is a part of that. So this would be my almost foolproof strategy for how you can achieve your goals. While executing this strategy, have a positive outlook. It will really help you. Remember one thing, if you aren't being pushed outside of your comfort zone at least once a day, then it's time to do something different. If you don't feel uncomfortable or scared or nervous in a good way from time to time, then you probably aren't growing as fast as you want to. Just think about that a little bit. I hope this episode has inspired you to achieve, because really, what's stopping you?